We start things off from Reuters. Meta Google lose U.S. case over social media harm to kids. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The verdict could affect thousands of similar cases against tech companies. Plaintiffs' focus on platform design may make liability harder to avert for companies. Mounting criticism over child safety shifts debate to courts, state governments. Meta evaluating legal options. Google plans to appeal. Let me know down in the comments if this is something that has been a concern of yours, as it is for me for years, as you guys know. The algorithm that we talk about here on YouTube, as well as for Google and Meta, and they do use one, and many of you have probably been affected or impacted in some way by this. We call it the like dopamine style hit. We'll get into more of that philosophy here in a moment. So, Alphabet and Google were found liable on Wednesday for designing platforms that are dangerous for kids and teens, in a landmark verdict that could force tech firms to rethink how they defend themselves against safety claims. The verdict could mark a turning point in the global backlash against their platforms' perceived mental health harms to youth more than 2 decades after the emergence of social media. So it's been 20 years, roughly, since social media has come out. Of course, they have developed algorithms and, of course, the whole like dopamine hit and the type of content that you see now. The content has shifted a bit. So, and then we're going to move on to, you can see here, the jury found Meta liable for $4.2 million in damages and Google for $1.8 million and some other amounts here. But I want to move on. Now, you guys can see it here. I just wanted to read the main section here, because now we go over here to what did jury decide in social media case against Meta and Google. Now we're talking about some of that things that I just showed you there. So the Meta Google owe damages. The jury awarded $3 million in damage to the plaintiff. Meta will be liable for 70% of the damage and Google 30%. Meta was negligent. The jury found Meta was negligent in designing or operating Instagram. Okay, so it also impacts Instagram. In case you guys didn't know, Meta is both Facebook and Instagram. Zuckerberg bought Instagram and put it under the Meta umbrella. I think Meta may have been one of the original names he wanted to go with for a while, but then didn't change it for obvious reasons, because Facebook is so recognizable. Meta's conduct deemed substantial factor in woman's harm. The jury found that the Meta's negligence was a substantial factor in harming the 20-year-old plaintiff. The plaintiff said earlier in the legal proceedings her Instagram use fueled her mental health struggles. Now, I want to talk about this a bit, because I did do a bit of Instagram manipulation, as it were. I'm not suggesting that I did some trickery or I bought some program to hack the algorithm, but I did make certain posts on Instagram that changed the entire dynamic of my account. Now, if you guys haven't been by my Instagram, you will notice that I went from 432 followers to now over 6,000. Now, part of that was just timing, but it is not a mystery as to the changes that I made just out of curiosity and the timing that caused that to happen. It's quite extraordinary and incredibly pronounced. That's why you're seeing me make the changes that I do here on YouTube. For now, you can see how content has changed here, because the competition is fierce. But for smaller channels, if you guys ever think about starting one, now is a good time. So Meta did not adequately warn users. Of course, they're not going to. And I'm going to bring this up here in just a moment as well. Google was negligent. The jury found Google was negligent in designing and operating of YouTube, which you're watching this on, so it'll be curious to see how the algorithm treats this video. So make sure you like and subscribe and share. Google's conduct deemed substantial factor in woman's harm. The jury found Google's negligence was a substantial factor in harming the 20-year-old plaintiff. The plaintiff has said YouTube's features contributed to her depression and anxiety. Now, this is all possible because we live in a world now that is so incredibly social media based to an extent, right? I mean, everybody's got a phone. Go anywhere, the doctor's office, the bank, the airport, wherever you need to go, you'll see people looking at their phone. You guys know this. You guys know this because you watch the BuzWeaver channel. You're shrewd. You have common sense. You're mostly sober. I'm sure most of you are. So you guys get it. Meta and YouTube has designed addictive products that harm young people, jury finds. Now, the reason I wanted to mention this is because there's a long-standing philosophy that we've had in gaming called the Skinner box. And it was a philosophy by B.F. Skinner. Now, I had my crack staff, also known as ChatGPT OpenAI, to look into this and try to give everybody just kind of a brief theory of what Skinner's idea was. So, operating condition behavior is shaped by consequences, actions followed by outcomes more or less likely to repeat. So with the Skinner box, when it comes to gamings or casinos, is you allow people to win a little bit at a time to keep them going. And of course, when it comes to social media, it's about likes and subscribers and these sorts of things, although they don't play as key a role as they used to on YouTube, for example. At least those who want to do YouTube full time realize that it really comes down to satisfaction and authoritative, your channel being authoritative. So operating conditions, you see here, reinforcement, increased behavior, positive reinforcement, add reward, example, points, loot, praise. This is elements from gaming as well as from casinos. Negative reinforcement, remove something unpleasant. Example, stress removed, penalty avoided. So this is more or less when it comes to gaming, not so much the way that social media works in practice when it comes to the algorithm, because it's always different. So you have punishment, decreased behavior. Positive punishments add negative consequences. Negative punishments remove something desirable. Reinforcement schedules critical. Fixed, predictable rewards. Variable, unpredictable rewards. So there's always this kind of manipulation that goes on in social media. But it is a very curious thing the way these work. And as you guys know, we have this from The Guardian, Meta and YouTube designed addictive products that harmed young people, jury finds. Now, they want people on their platforms. You know, you're familiar with the term doom scrolling. And this is the idea here, is to keep people on the platform. Now, it's the same philosophy when it comes to gaming as well, whether it's a first-person shooter or a MMO or a mass media online role-play game. And these philosophies still stay the same because, as you can see here, as we read earlier, the jury awarded the plaintiffs in this case, $3 million. Meta's to pay 70%. And I didn't see anything additional to that I wanted to point out here other than the way they phrased the article. Meta and YouTube design addictive products that harm young people, jury finds. And this is not surprising. This is all across social media. And, of course, here on X as well, a big story for today. Jury finds Meta and YouTube negligent in their design. And even with X, as you see right here, the platform that we're on now, formerly Twitter, I had all kinds of issues on Twitter when it was still Twitter, especially during the Biden administration and even through the Trump administration originally when, of course, the establishment and others were trying to shut everybody down that supported Trump. And then, of course, during the Biden administration, of course, all this was unraveled and obviously exposed, as we talked about here on the BuzWeaver channel as well. That's just why your support is so amazing and why we continue to press on, because these are the factors that we have to fight against as YouTube content creators and even as a small channel like myself, having to make those changes to, appeal to the way these things are designed. But these algorithms and these functionalities of platforms obviously create this behavior that is going to cause people to stay on them as much as possible. And that dopamine hit is what a lot of these people have. Now, the young woman was 20 years old, so I'm going to assume that she was probably in her teens when she first started on here. And, of course, this prolonged into it, which is not surprising. Everyone knows, because if you're on social media, you already know. My philosophy to social media is I take little breaks from it, and I don't hang around it all day. I do work on it quite a bit throughout the day, but in little chunks. I don't do, like, long sessions of going through information, and I use my crack staff here to come up with ideas and concepts and things that I need to use it for so I can get back to doing other things other than that. But nonetheless, guys, this is an extraordinary story. This is going to change the dynamics of how platforms work. Let me know down in the comment sections what your experiences have been with any of these platforms, with your follows, with your subscribers, with your likes, things that are going on. And you'll notice also when it comes to comments as well, like people commenting on your post, especially on Facebook or Meta or Instagram, sorry. And because I see it on mine as well, because there's certain individuals that post, or if I make comments to CNN or others and I make a comment onto them, I can notice that sometimes I don't get notifications of people responding to it. And that's on purpose. That's by design. Just like we talked about with YouTube. You could be a subscriber. You can have notifications turned on. But just out of just engineering and programming, they know that if you constantly give people the notifications and information, they may not want it. Now, people there are people out there that want to know when these things are happening immediately, mainly so they can respond. A lot of, frenemies and these sorts of things, as we see like on X, for example, when Donald Trump posts or something, these individuals want to be notified immediately. But let me know down in the comments how this impacts you. Are you happy with this? Is this a vindication for you as a Meta user, as a Facebook, Instagram user, a social media user, seeing that now these platforms can be held accountable? But also just want to preference this also with a side note to say that if Democrats win the House, if they get the House back, I believe that we could see censorship very similar to what we saw during the Biden administration and the Trump administration. Now, that may be a bit hyperbolic, but I can see it happening. And believe me, they want this power back. But nonetheless, guys, thank you so much for your continued support. That's everyone on BitChute, Rumble, and Odyssey. You guys have been amazing. Thank you so much. And, of course, below this video, you can find the various social media links that I belong to, as we just mentioned here, X and Instagram and others. So if you want to check me out and follow me there to give me some support, it's greatly appreciated. And, of course, below this video, you can find the various affiliate marketing links that I belong to include Amazon. So if you order frequently from Amazon or a Prime member, you can use my landing page link. It is safe. And talk about safety while you're online. Also, TrustZone VPN, virtual private network, one of my favorites. You guys have been amazing. Thank you so much for your continued support. I welcome any of your comments and thoughts on this particular topic. It is a big one. But nonetheless, guys, appearing there on the screen for everyone watching on YouTube, that's going to be the avatar link. You can click on that to subscribe, as well as to select notification. That way you'll know when there's content here on the channel. And I'll see all you guys in the next video.